cats in our area, how that affects people in the surrounding community, and to discuss resources available to municipalities, including grants expressly available for townships to work with experienced volunteers to address this issue. I specifically requested to be added to a televised meeting because I'm receiving multiple calls on a weekly basis from concerned citizens and business people regarding stray, abandoned, and homeless cats in their neighborhoods. They were told by our animal control officer that he does not deal with cats. Or they have been referred to me by shelters in hopes I can step in. My intent does not go beyond providing factual information on this issue so the board may make informed decisions rather than speculating among themselves. I'm hereby requesting time on the agenda to educate the board on the homeless cat issue in the town and the village who defers to the town on such matters. To address Mr. Buck's concern of whether I reached out to the county or the state. Protocol dictates that I start with the local chain of command. In closing, I ask you, Supervisor, and members of the Fishkill Town Board, will you allow me to make a presentation on homeless felines in this community with the intent of creating a healthier and happier community?
The question? All right. Just to go back to the previous meeting, the concern was there are a lot of, especially grant funded programs that people would like to promote. We were just asking that it be done in an orderly way. So if there are stats, if there are programs, if there is an overall theme that you want to bring to it, what you expect from the town, we just ask that it be put in an orderly way so that when you reach out, I believe it's the Councilman Cottle, and Councilman Curry has expressed an interest just to kind of shape up what the ask was from the town and make it proper town business before coming out and making it clear to the public from this forum. Because this is reserved for town business.
Certainly.
We'd like to know that it's town business before
Certainly.
we make a plea.
If I could recap what you actually said at the meeting, was I mentioned my company in my letter, which is incorrect. I did not mention my company. So
I don't recall saying that.
well, it's on video.
Okay.
My intent, again, is to start the conversation. There are many ways that townships get involved. I would like to present what those options are, what we deal with on a daily basis, what I deal with on a daily basis as a volunteer here. I think we can do a lot better than what we're doing, especially when our animal control officer refuses to deal with cats. You know that I'm a very meticulous person. I think order is certainly something that I would be offering to the town board.
The board members.
Have you heard this about the animal control officer? This is the first.
Oh no, there's DEC controls what you can and can't
Right.
do with
I know,
cats. I mean,
feral
this is an okay thing. There's two sides of it. There's always at least two sides to things, but this is one of those methods. Some people, organizations like PETA actually believe in euthanizing cats. They think that it's cruel to leave feral cats.
Right.
This is one program that's out there. The DEC will tell you that you can't take them and put them in homes. If you pick up a feral cat, you have to replace them where they were.
Right.
And that's the way the animal control officer's looking at it. He can pick it up, he has to put it back where he found it.
Right.
If I may add, there's been several occasions this past year alone where the animal control officer refused to respond to a call about a cat. those calls were people's pets. So we're not just talking about that. So let's be clear. One in particular was a Vietnam veteran, had lost his cat, and cried like a baby when he was reunited with that animal. So I think to narrow the scope to just, this is what Peter has to offer, this is a different program. I am not a proponent by any means in euthanizing a perfectly healthy animal. The Trap, Neuter, Return program, again, is nationally recognized as a very specific way to deal with feral cats, as some people like to call them.
You mentioned some of our neighboring municipalities have, formed this.
Middletown just added on their budget again for this year to budget for a TNR program. Not all municipalities are in a position to do so. There are grants in the tens of thousands of dollars readily available.
Anywhere other than Middletown locally?
Actually, Wapachee's Falls just received a grant through the SPCA for 175 cats to be brought up to their facility, spayed and neutered, and inoculated.
Through the Dutchess County SPCA?
Correct.
Right?
So again, I propose allowing me to make an actual presentation which highlights exactly what the Trap, Neuter, Return program is, offering certain solutions, opening it up for a conversation. I'm not saying I have all of the answers, but I think we can do a heck of a lot better than what we're doing now.
I don't have a problem. Discussion, debate is healthy.
I think when the idea was brought up, I don't have a problem with, people coming before the town board for anything. But, to make it clear, I don't understand why it has to be televised, first of all. And
Well,
isn't there a way we could, as you see, these meetings can get very long.
I certainly
And
understand.
I'm not saying that this isn't an important issue. We consider it a very important issue. However, with so much detail involved, a lot of this legwork could be done before walking into this town hall. And if this is something that you have a sincere passion for and you're really interested in taking care of, I'd advise maybe you could perhaps work out more of the details and your recommendations and educate us a little bit before, coming back and, starting from scratch here.
Well, I
Just,
certainly understand your inquiry as far as why I was asking to be on a televised meeting. And the reason for that, again, as I said earlier, is I'm getting calls, multiple calls every week on this particular issue. People really don't know what to do. They just don't know what to do. So I think it would benefit the town immensely that they were able to watch a 10-minute, 15-minute presentation with solutions. I'm not talking about hijacking your meeting and going on for a half an hour, okay? So, and again, I can't underscore enough the number of calls that I get. Just Friday, as a matter of fact, I got clearance at the Fishkill Correctional Facility to go in and retrieve animals there.
So your overall objective here is to simply, educate the people of the town on...
My overall objective
Go ahead.
is to go to 0 homeless animals in the town of Fishkill.
Okay.
I think it can be done. With a robust program, it certainly can be done. And I think part of that is starting a conversation on how to get there.
Now, to piggyback on what he said and what he says, there's a reality of the whole, if you disseminate this throughout the town, where's the legal ramifications if, say, a citizen does something against DEC rules?
Well,
How does that come back to the town?
it's interesting. The DEC actually doesn't regard cats. I mean, to say that the DVC requires me to return a feral cat exactly where it was, unfortunately, these animals are falling between the cracks. They're domestic animals, and yet some people regard them as wild animals because they're not like your pet at home. These are animals that are falling between the cracks. When you find a kitten 3 weeks old, you are not going to spay and neuter it and return it right away, of course. You're going to socialize the cat and home it. This is a nationally recognized program. And indeed, the state is beginning to advocate for robust trap-neuter return programs. As far as the liability, is that what you're concerned about?
Yes.
Understandably so. Organizations, for example, I'll give you an example. I worked on a project in the town of Fishkill this past year, and we got 51 cats in one neighborhood. I approached the property owner, who also paid for a large part of this. They paid to have me transport. They didn't pay me, but they paid the money that was required to whoever is providing the surgery, whether it be Tara, whether it be the SPCA. I make an agreement with them that they are not liable for my safety. I think what you might also consider, which is a concern as far as safety, when you have this large number of animals that are not inoculated for rabies, there is potential for hazard in and of itself. Part of the TNR program is to spay and neuter them, and then through natural attrition, of course, the population dies down. But in the meantime, they are inoculated for rabies, which actually provides a safer community than if you do nothing.
Okay, it seems like there's a lot of gray area when it comes to understanding the laws and the protocol. Did you ever try to sit down with the supervisor's office to come up with a game plan on how to do this, what the legalities is, if the supervisor's going to speak to their attorney, etc.? Did you try that?
I've spoken with the animal control officer.
No. Supervisor's office.
I'm answering your question.
Okay.
I've spoken to the animal control officer.
Okay. My concern.
If we could, because I mean, this is an open comment portion, and we could go on quite a while here.
Okay.
If you look at the video, I think what I also said is, if what you want to do is get information out, there's a lot of ways to do that. There's links on the website. If you were to speak at a board meeting, it'd be on for a month. If you had a video that you thought was disseminating valuable information to the community, that could go on our government access channel and stay there for as long as you like. Leave it up there for
Which is a
12 months.
wonderful idea,
And I brought it up
but
at the
not
last meeting.
conclusive of the entire problem.
So maybe you want to run on dual tracks here. As you can see, instead of paying our attorney and having the entire board present to work out a lot of details, what had been suggested was to approach a couple of supportive board members and work out as many details as you can to determine